Imagine for a second that you could rent server power from literally anywhere in the world and pay way, way less than you would for traditional cloud services. Now, what if that whole infrastructure didn't belong to Amazon or Google or Microsoft, but to a massive, decentralized network of servers spread all across the globe? Well, that's not some sci-fi future. That is the huge, ambitious goal of Akash Network.
But this whole idea brings up a really critical question, one we kind of have to ask. Is our entire digital world, the very foundation of the internet, really in the hands of just 3 giant corporations?
Well, the numbers don't lie. A massive, massive portion of the internet today runs on servers owned by Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, and Microsoft Azure. Look, they've built an incredible, powerful infrastructure, for sure. But it also creates this huge and maybe a little scary dependency.
So, in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how Akash Network is trying to challenge that status quo. We'll look at the problem they're solving, their really clever solution, this unique auction system they have, their big role in the AI boom, the very real risks they face, and what the future of the cloud might look like.
All right, let's start with the core problem. These walled gardens built by the kings of the cloud. Now, centralization is convenient, no doubt about it, but it definitely comes with some serious drawbacks.
So here's the fundamental friction in the cloud market. On one side, you've got really high prices and a heavy dependence on just a few providers, which, by the way, opens the door to censorship. But on the other side, you've got literally millions of servers in data centers all around the world just sitting there, underutilized, not doing anything. It's a massive inefficiency.
And that is exactly where Akash Network steps in. Honestly, the best way to wrap your head around it is with a simple but really powerful analogy. It's basically the Airbnb for servers. Just think about it for a second. Airbnb doesn't own a single hotel, right? It just connects people who have a spare room with people who need a place to stay. Akash is doing the exact same thing, but for computing power. It's creating a marketplace out of existing, underused resources, and because of that, it can offer much lower prices and way more choice.
So if we want to get official, Akash Network is a decentralized cloud computing marketplace. It connects developers who need the infrastructure with providers all over the world who have that extra hardware capacity. It's an open market, and it's designed from the ground up to be more efficient and more affordable than the centralized giants.
Okay, but how does it actually deliver those lower costs? I mean, that's the big promise. Well, the magic is in its core mechanism, something called a reverse auction system. Let's see how it works.
The process is actually brilliantly simple. First, a developer says, hey, here's what I need, maybe to run an app or a blockchain node or a heavy AI workload. Second, server providers from all over the world compete for that job. But instead of bidding the price up, they compete by bidding their lowest possible price. And finally, the developer's application is automatically sent to the winner using Kubernetes, which is just a standard open source system for deploying software. It's fast, it's efficient, and that competition just naturally drives the price way down.
Now, this model is already pretty compelling, but there's a huge catalyst making it incredibly relevant right now, and that's the artificial intelligence revolution. I mean, the explosion in AI has created this insatiable worldwide hunger for high-performance GPUs. Training these sophisticated AI models requires a mind-boggling amount of computing power, and renting that power from the big guys can be insanely expensive. And this is where Akash is positioning itself to be a total game changer. By creating a global, open marketplace just for GPUs, it lets developers get the power they need at a fraction of the cost. This could dramatically lower the barrier to entry for all kinds of innovative AI and machine learning projects that might have been too expensive before. And hey, they're not just talking about it, they're actively building for it. Back in 2025, they launched Akash ML, which makes it way easier for developers to deploy AI models. Then, in 2026, the mainnet 16 upgrade made the whole marketplace more stable and secure. These are absolutely crucial steps if you want to build a reliable alternative to the cloud giants.
Okay, so despite all this exciting potential, let's be real. Akash is facing a classic David versus Goliath scenario. There are some very, very real challenges and risks ahead.
Let's just look at this side by side. The promise? A truly open cloud with huge cost savings, powered by a global network. Sounds amazing, but the peril is just as real. You're competing against tech giants with basically unlimited resources. This whole model of decentralized computing is still pretty new. And at the end of the day, its success hinges entirely on one thing: getting enough developers and companies to actually use it.
Without adoption, even the most brilliant idea can just fade away.
So when you consider all that promise and all that peril, what does the future actually hold? Well, we can imagine three pretty different scenarios for a project like Akash.
So, in the bull case, the most optimistic view, Akash becomes a cornerstone of the new internet. We're talking essential infrastructure for AI and Web3. In the base case, it carves out a really successful niche for itself, mainly serving the crypto and decentralized app world. And then there's the bear case, where the legacy giants just adapt, companies stick with what they know, and decentralized alternatives like Akash get left on the sidelines.
So look, Akash Network is incredibly ambitious. It's trying to build a global, permissionless market for computer power by tapping into all these underused resources worldwide. And as the demand for AI just skyrockets, a model that promises lower costs and more freedom could play a pivotal role. But it all really comes down to this fundamental choice. Is the future of our digital world going to be built on the closed walls of a few giants, or on the open, decentralized foundations of the many?